into A to Z Sports prime time on a Monday night. I hope your week got off to a great start. I hope you're ready for a great college basketball game tonight between Gonzaga and Baylor. One undefeated, one two-loss team, the best two teams in the country coming together in tonight's national championship game. I'm going to tell you why I think Baylor is completely capable of pulling off the upset of Gonzaga tonight. We'll talk about the Final Four from the weekend. Jalen Suggs, an absolute monster. I wonder if we can see anywhere close to the same performance as he was able to put up on Saturday. And then we'll make our picks because it is game time almost here on a Monday. So it's a little A to Z Sports primetime pregame of the national championship game. We're glad to have you guys here tonight. Before we get to any of the pregame conversation, you guys need to retweet the show if you view with us on Periscope. It's in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You can retweet the show. You can get your Periscope people involved, get your Twitter people involved. We would appreciate you inviting them to our pregame conversation. If you view with us on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. It's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you're on YouTube, on Twitch, let them know that we are pregaming here on the primetime show with about 20 minutes to go before the national championship game tips off, to be specific. And now that more of you are here, we can go ahead and begin that show officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Monday. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by the fine folks at Two Rivers Ford. It is Car Care Month at Two Rivers Ford, and that's why you need to get out to Mount Juliet and go pay our friends at Two Rivers Ford a visit. They've been doing business in Middle Tennessee since 1983. So take advantage of what they've got going on out in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. That is where you go for all of the money that you need to be making on Baylor plus 4.5. If you are like me, go plug in the promo code A to Z Sports in that DraftKings Sportsbook app, and you will be well on your way to making the kind of money that is easy to make as long as you're using that promo code A to Z Sports. Brymak Mechanical, BRYMAK. That's Brymak.com. Satisfaction guaranteed on each and every one of your HVAC needs. They will put you in the best spot. They will put you in your comfort zone as we transition seasons. And, of course, Gary Ashton and the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. We haven't used the billboard in a while. Let's bring it back. Throwback. The Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, your dream address without the stress, just like it says right next to Gary's head at GaryAshton.com. See, I still have the props in here. Even, we switched to graphics. We cleaned it up a little bit around here on A to Z Sports Prime Time, but we still have the things to keep us grounded from whence we came. But now let's talk basketball, because Gonzaga and Baylor, I mean, it is an incredible basketball matchup that we are going to be able to watch. The Two Rivers Ford take, though, let's get the conversation started here, because you got to go back for me to be able to tell you why Baylor is totally capable, should absolutely pull off the upset tonight. We have to go back and look at Gonzaga versus UCLA. 93-90, an incredible game, the best game of the tournament, arguably the best sporting event that I've seen this year. Your Two Rivers Ford take. What most surprised you about Gonzaga versus UCLA in the Final Four? Let me know on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch TV. We will discuss together. I see Andrew Ferris, Rudy, Lucas, L Boogie 808, Evan C. White. What stood out to you from that game is the words that I'm trying to say. Hope Baylor wins so IU stays the only team to have a perfect record, says Andrew Ferris. I mean, that sounds lovely, but at this point, Indiana doesn't have anything else. So just take this thing away from them so they can finally get over themselves, my alma mater, as a college basketball blue blood no longer. I like college basketball, but boy, am I ready for some Titan football. I understand, Andrew. Well, Mike Vrabel talked today. We already spent a little bit of time on that. But tonight, let's focus. It's the college basketball game of the year. The college basketball game of the year. Focus just for tonight on college basketball. That's all we got to do. It will come down to the last two possessions, says L Boogie 808. Zags can win even if they don't blow out the other team, says Lucas Burke. That's what stood out to Lucas about Gonzaga versus UCLA. I mean, they were wildly efficient. They were incredibly effective. You guys continue to give me your Two Rivers Ford take. I'll give you mine here in a second as we get you ready for the national championship game. But first, a quick reminder about our friends at Two Rivers Ford. It's Car Care Month. You got to go out and pay them a visit at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet. You hear me talking about them all the time. They're car hassle-free, buying a car hassle-free with their non-commissioned sales staff. Two Rivers Ford has won the Ford President's Award for customer satisfaction 14 years. That means that you, as their potential customer, will be extremely satisfied when you either purchase a vehicle or when you get your vehicle serviced. April is Car Care Month at Two Rivers Ford, and they're offering 10% off any service now through the 30th. Just go to tworiversford.com, get your 10% off coupon. You can print it, screenshot it, or save it on your phone. You'll get 10% off any service at tworiversford.com. Give me your Two Rivers Ford take. What stood out to you about Gonzaga versus UCLA? Talk about the Broncos, says Evan C. White. I always talk about the Bronco. You can still go get a Bronco at Two Rivers Ford. Crazy that this game was supposed to happen a few months ago. The world made sure this game happened, says Kirkavelli. Listen, we deserve it. We deserve the best two teams in college basketball playing each other. I had the Zags and Baylor as a final in my bracket. Zags winning 59-50, says Vic Rupee. But I don't think it will be by 9. So you picked that to be the final score, but you think it will be less than 9? I imagine it will be. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. Now, I bet Baylor on DraftKings using the promo code A to Z Sports. I bet Baylor at plus 4.5 when I saw it last night. End of the show, say your Venmo, and prime time will turn into OnlyFans. Says L Boogie 808. I mean, we'll talk about the Venmo and Mike Vrabel's cameo here in just a second. Unbelievable today. You guys, there's like 15 of you that already found my Venmo on just by look. I guess you can just look up people's Venmos and a bunch of people are taking a guess at mine. I'll explain that later in the show. Don't send me any more money. Just wash my hands with hashtag Tame the Beast, says Lucas Burks. That's very good. Corey D. Jackson says Baylor by 3. Thoughts, Zags minus 4.5. And the over, what's the over set at, Sean? I did not see the over under. I did bet Baylor plus 4.5. I really think Baylor's going to win straight up. And I'll explain why. Because I was so surprised by the rock fight. It wasn't necessarily even a rock fight. The scoring was insane. If you'd have told Mick Cronin that his team would have played a game in the 90s against Gonzaga, he probably would have told you that they got their butts kicked. They got their asses whooped. But instead, they were wildly efficient from mid-range. You had incredible defensive effort throughout the game. It's why the competitiveness of it and the overtime, the minutes that all of those players, especially the players for Gonzaga, especially Jalen Suggs, put on their bodies throughout the course of that game, that is not easy to overcome and then have a turnaround in 36 hours and go play what is a considerably better team than in Baylor. Baylor will be able to score with Gonzaga. That's not something that we saw anybody do outside of UCLA until Saturday's Final Four game. The over is set at 158.5. I would bet the under, but that's just me. I just think that it's going to be tough for Gonzaga to get going at this point, given what a competitive game, what a fantastic game that they played on Saturday night. It's hard to go undefeated and win the Natty unless you're Bob Knight, says Corey D. Jackson. No kidding. I hope Gonzaga wins. I got 50 riding on it, says Jeff Roberts. Jeff got a little skin in the game. I hope it's using the DraftKings Sportsbook app, because if it's not, you should be betting on, you should be betting in the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and you should be using the promo code A2Z Sports. It's everyone's favorite tournament of the year. Not just tonight, because that tournament ends tonight, but the Masters in Augusta, Georgia, to compete for the coveted jacket. DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting you in the center of the action by giving you a shot to land in the green. This week, DraftKings is giving you 100-1 odds on the golfer of your choosing to finish in the top 10. If you haven't tried DraftKings, this is the time. Turn $1 into $100. It's simple. Pick any golfer from this weekend's tournament, and if they finish in the top 10, you cash $100. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code A2Z Sports when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 if the golfer of your choosing finishes in the top 10 of this weekend's tournament. That's code A2Z Sports to turn $1 into $100 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You must be 21 or older. Tennessee only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789. DraftKings Sportsbook, promo code A2Z Sports. What is the thing that surprised you most about Gonzaga and UCLA? The fact that UCLA took it to them for 40 minutes plus, 45 minutes to be exact, and made them work for every possession. Every minute that they played was had to be earned in that game. A spectacular game. I just don't know if in less than 36 hours Gonzaga can turn around and do it again. I'm going to be really curious to see how that plays out. Someone put 300,000 on Baylor plus 4.5 and 300,000 on the money line plus 135, says Dylan Goodsell. That's wild. I don't have that kind of money to be putting down on the game tonight. I think the most I've ever bet is probably $500. I've made a $500 bet. A $300,000 bet is insane to me. Jeff Roberts says, I don't live in Tennessee, or I would. Well, that's okay, Jeff. Find your favorite DraftKings Sportsbook app, and as soon as it's legalized, use the promo code A2Z Sports. Props to UCLA. They couldn't have played any better, says El Boogie 808. Without question. And that poses another question to you, because the sheer competitiveness, UCLA's offense is really what blew me away. The way that they were able to make the most inefficient of shots seem so effective, seem so routine, that they could keep up for a full 45-minute game, or a 40-minute game, a full 40-minute game, and then a 5-minute overtime with a team that is known for their scoring. What UCLA did is shoot 58%, and a bulk of it from the mid-range. That should never happen. It's completely wild. Props to UCLA, says El Boogie 808. I agree. All the credit in the world to UCLA, but what it did is probably slow down Gonzaga heading into this game. That's why I want to know from you guys on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch TV, what was better in the UCLA versus Gonzaga game? Was it the actual game, or was it Jalen Suggs' 40-foot three-pointer to win the game as time expired? Let me know on Facebook Live, on Periscope, on YouTube, on Twitch TV, what was better in the UCLA versus Gonzaga game? The actual game, or Jalen Suggs hitting the final shot to send them into the championship game? Let me know on Facebook Live, on YouTube, on Twitch TV, on Periscope. We are everywhere. And so is Brymac Mechanical, because they have 3 locations in Middle Tennessee and in Kentucky to make sure that you get your HVAC service that you so require. Check them out at Brymac.com, BRYMAK. They will handle your commercial needs. They will also take care of you residentially. You can do all of those things at Brymac Mechanical, Brymac.com. So what was better, the game or the shot made by Jalen Suggs to win the game? I think there's a pretty interesting conversation to be had there. Tyler Peak says, my eyes look sleepy. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little tired. I had a big day today. Had the radio show, of course, in the morning, had a Mike Vrabel press conference in the middle of the radio show, had a live shot that I did from St. Thomas Sports Park after Mike Vrabel's press conference. I taped a podcast, a new 615 sessions for tomorrow. John Glennon and Corey Curtis are my guests. And I did my weekly hit on 3HL with Dawn Davenport and Ron Slay. Then I got ready for the primetime show. because that's how much I'm talking. Tyler Peak says, "You good?" Yeah, I'm good. I'm just a little. I could use. My girlfriend's got this under eye moisturizer. I could probably use it. I'm sure I've got some pretty bad shadows under my eyes tonight. The shot because to hell with Skip Bayless. That's M&C White. I love that. Skip Bayless out here just trolling all of you guys. Bayless Clown says stupid stuff get clicks, says Puka. 100%. $8 million a year, though, is what those clicks are worth, Puka. And I would absolutely keep it going. Save some hustle for the rest of the week, says Juicebox 678. I did. Did I mention remote? Was I out on remote today? No, I was in the studio today, Puka. I did not have a remote. I went to St. Thomas Sports Park to do a quick live shot in front of the construction. Brad Lipford says, "You're not tired." No, I'm not tired. I just look a little tired. That's okay. More caffeine, more steam. And listen, baby, you don't get Juicebox. I appreciate your concern, but you don't got to worry about my hustle for the rest of the week. We got a killer lineup on the radio show all week long. Dennis Kelly's going to be on tomorrow. Brett Kern is going to be our Masters analyst on Thursday. We've got all kinds of good Vols talk to have. I promise you, it is going to be a killer week, not just on primetime, but on the podcast, because the podcast episode is a good one, on A to Z Sports Nashville.com, where I'm writing, and on the radio show from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. I had to think about it. But anyway, Jalen Suggs' shot was incredibly impressive, and I also understand that you want to say, to hell with Skip Bayless. It's not a lucky shot. That's just pure talent. That's killer instinct. That's clutch. I mean, you don't want to call it the clutch gene, but it's kind of the clutch gene. Now he did get a run up on that shot. He got 3 steps probably in before he wound up and heaved it 40 feet into the basket for the win. But at this point, I really think the game was better. I mean, that's probably the most fun I've had watching a sporting event all year long. And the bar is kind of low because of the lack of fans really killed a lot of enjoyment for sports with me this year. I would say to you that the Monday Night Football game between the Browns and the Ravens in the regular season, that was a spectacular game. There was a lot of drama. There's a lot of scoring. Turnovers at untimely times for both teams. Like, it was a lot of fun to watch, but nothing hits you quite like a buzzer beater in March Madness, especially in the Final Four. Have you seen the bit with Guy cucumbers on his eyes along with cats? Also chill out. Yes, I have seen that on TikTok. In fact, I do follow that account on TikTok. What was better in UCLA versus Gonzaga? The game, the actual game, or Jalen Suggs' shot? It was absolutely the game itself. The game itself was spectacular. But now it is time, because the game is nearly starting, this game, the championship game. It is time to make our picks. Let me know in the comments on Facebook Live, on Periscope, on YouTube, and on Twitch TV who you got, Gonzaga or Baylor, in the national championship game. Give me your picks. We will talk about it together. We will talk about it briefly because it is almost time to watch the game. But I need you guys to tell me who you are riding with tonight. Zags by 2 for El Boogie 808. Zag says Puka. Rudy likes Baylor, as does Xavier Clemens on Facebook. El Boogie says it is going to be close. John Bertotti has Baylor. Gonzaga with the points for Juicebox. Well, I think I've already mentioned this, and maybe I should have waited till the end. But I'm taking Baylor. I'm taking Baylor plus 4.5. I'm taking Baylor straight up. I think that Baylor is the better team. I think Baylor had the better weekend. And I think that as fun as UCLA versus Gonzaga was, I really think it's going to make a big difference tonight. Who you got on A to Z Sports Primetime, powered or from the DraftKings Sportsbook Studios is what I should say. While you guys give me your picks, I'll tell you quickly about the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, because you know that you can get your dream address without the stress at GaryAshton.com. The official real estate agent of the Titans, the Preds, and A to Z Sports Primetime. The Ashton team will take care of you the same way that they took care of me in the search for my new home. Gary Ashton will set you right. They are part of the community. They are here to support the community. They are in the community because they are creating the community at GaryAshton.com. Baylor by 12 points. Blowout, says Lewis Chesney. The ghost of Adam Morrison lives on, says Evan C. White, although he's alive as far as I know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Adam Morrison's on there. Pretty sure Adam Morrison is on their broadcast. Zags for Jeff Sawyer. Puka says Gonzaga needed the UCLA game. So they could win a close one. I like that argument. Baylor by 5. See ya, Ites. Tip-off is on, says Lewis Chesney. Well, you know what, Lewis? That's as good as time as any. I'm riding with Baylor. I hope you guys made your bets in the DraftKings Sportsbook app using the promo code A to Z Sports. I will see you tomorrow on the radio and then after that on primetime because we have a lot more stuff to discuss. In the meantime, I will tell you that I'm a little tired, but the basketball is going to be good. So I got to tell you, I'm not that tired yet. No!